Welcome to the GrowthPro Edge. We're here to help scale your business, build stronger teams, and sharpen your leadership skills. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the GrowthPro Edge. I'm your host, Denise Killian, with the GrowthPro Group. Each week on the GrowthPro Edge, we're going to be tackling some issues that are going to help you in your growth journey for your business, for your teams, and for yourself. But before we get started, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors for 2026, Roller, Party Center Software, A&A Global, Betsim, Simnox, Schaefer, and Embed for helping to make this show possible. We'd also like to invite you to take a moment to subscribe now to this podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or however you watch or listen to podcasts. And make sure to follow the GrowthPro Group on social media so you don't miss a single episode. This week, we're going to be speaking about marketing. And we're going to be talking with Vivian Conterio about the tools that you need to make sure you have sharpened right now to have a successful year for 2026. Vivian, welcome to the GrowthPro Edge. Thrilled to have you today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Listen, I can't wait to talk to you about marketing because it is something that I think a lot of companies struggle with, depending upon if they have a marketing person or not. And so I'm really excited to talk to you about some things that companies should be looking out for this first quarter when we talk about marketing. But before we do that, Vivian, why don't you introduce yourself to those who are listening to us today?
Well, thank you. My name is Vivian Conterio. I am with the GrowthPro Group and Trainertainment. I've been with them for over 10 years now, so I have seen a lot of growth, and I love being a part of all of these businesses that have questions and are truly just so into growing not only their teams, but their marketing, their sales, everything. So it's been quite a ride.
It definitely has been. And I love that you're one of our OGs here with the company, right? You were with Entertainment for a half of that 20-year lifespan, and now being a part of starting the Growth Pro Group, which is very, very exciting. So I want to start off with you are sort of our guru when it comes to making things look beautiful. Like your talent in this field is extraordinary to me because you can make anything look beautiful. Y'all should see some of the things that I sent to Vivian and ask her to make look pretty, and she does. She's really a genius at that. But you also have a great genius and knowledge of marketing and promotions. So I really want to kind of focus on that as we start off. We're just at the beginning of February. Things are kicking off. You've gotten through the holidays. What should people be looking at, and where should the focus be as we're kicking this year off and moving past the holidays? We're back in gear. February, let's get going full swing. What should people be thinking about and focusing on?
Well, I think the last quarter of the year is always so rushed, not only for business, but your families. You've got out of town guests and holidays, so it's really hard to really set that time up to be able to focus on what's going to be happening that following year. So that first quarter, really taking a look at things from a foundation point of view and not just a promotions point of view. Although I love promotions, what happens a lot of the times is that um, you get right out of the bat and you want to be able to boom 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 start your year with having all of these promotions and new ideas for your business. But I think setting up that foundation first, making sure that that you're looking back at what worked last year, what didn't work, where you want to see yourself, what you're an expert at. All of those things is setting up your growth from that point of view of this is the foundation. If I don't get it right now, what's going to happen is I'm just pushing promotions through or marketing initiatives throughout the entire year. I'm not really looking at that growth from a bigger, perspective.
So, when you talk about foundations, what kind of things should we be looking at? What does that mean, the foundations?
The foundations, when I refer to that, it's, who is your audience, first of all, right? So, like, who are we trying to sell to? You got to look and see who your audience is. You cannot be all things to all people. It doesn't work that way. And I think that a lot of the times we try to be there for everybody and we don't focus on who we should be focusing on. And it's going to be different from your city or even your location, your community. Who is in your community that you want to build a business with?
So, identifying who your audience is huge. And
Mhm.
I cannot tell you how many times I will see something or have a conversation with somebody and recognize they really haven't identified who that person is. Or the very worst thing you can do is try to be all things to all people, right?
Bam! You just throw as much stuff, at it because you feel like if you're just throwing it, all you've got, something's got to stick, right? So, um, but then you wind up spending a lot of money that you could have used somewhere else. So really focusing on your niche or your market or even your channels, your social channels, if all of your business is basically coming from Facebook or LinkedIn, if you're more business to business, then really looking at that and taking that focus and putting it there, putting your dollars there, instead of just trying to get, marketing dollars all over the board. And yeah, it's good to be spread out a little bit, but really it's even better to really hone in on the areas that you need to be focused on.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Knowing your metrics, which we're going to get to in just a moment, because I think that's a big part of this conversation as well. So, identifying who your target market is, who is your audience, who are you talking to? And another thing when we talk about foundations is that what is your unique selling point,
Mhm.
right? Of identifying what makes you special. I mean, do you have any sort of go-tos when you're working to help somebody find that unique selling point? What are the things that you're asking or looking for to help people identify their uniqueness?
Yeah, so you really need to focus on like I said, your community, right? Like who is it that has been consistently coming into your place or where would you like to expand to and why they would need you? Like you have to know those reasons why you are different. Why would somebody choose you?
I often, when we talk about big mistakes that people will make, or even little mistakes that people make that will cost them on the marketing front, they have messages that are far too complex.
Correct.
What can you tell us about how to make sure that the message is as simple as possible, that simple is better?
Can your 5-year-old understand it? Okay, like really, like who can understand what you're trying to say? Yes, some of the topics obviously are not meant for a 5-year-old, but it has to be clear, very short, very concise, nothing overly complicated. If you've done writing or whatever, you know that when you put things into even a grammar check or whatever, it'll tell you what grade you are the grade that you're writing at, and most people understand things, like I said, on a third grade level. So you need to be super clear, not overcomplicate things. If you are a business that has very detailed and very complex things, maybe, okay, you're a scientific company, and even those, you narrow down that message for the audience, for the people that are going to understand it. Oversimplification, I can't even tell you how important that is. Making sure that everybody could understand it.
One of the things that I like to look at and ask the question is, if you have a conjunction, it's too complicated. So if you're explaining your marketing message to me and there's a conjunction, like you've got an and, it's already too complex, right? One thought, one idea, one message.
We are bombarded with messaging all day long, whether you are on your phone looking at social media, whether you're on your computer, emails. I mean, even, our internal emails, our internal communications. They have to be very simplified. People are busy. They do not have time. And what they say, when you have something to say it. Don't text somebody, don't email it to them, because the tone can be totally different. So think about tone when you're writing for social media. Think about tone when you're writing for your advertising. How are people going to view it? How are people going to think about that? You could be saying something as simple as, the cat is brown, you know, and somebody will take it out of context if it's not worded very clearly, very concise, and the images have to match that. Because if not, people get totally confused as what messaging you're trying to put out there. So
Yeah, just the simple messaging. See it, say it. I'm a big fan of that expression, right? If you're talking about it, I should be looking at it too if it's a visual medium. But the understanding that, and it goes back to what we discussed earlier, you can't be all things to all people. One marketing message cannot have all things. Even if you know that what makes your business unique are these 10 different points, which is amazing. I'm going to encourage you to have 10 different posts, 10 different ads, 10 different, right? Promotions around those 10 things, because they should each have just the one point, the one message. Which I think that's something that people really get lost in, because you're so excited about your business. You're so excited about what you do, and you know that you're the best at what you do and you can do all of these things, and you want everybody to know all about it. But
absolutely.
you can't say it all in one message, because it will just become meaningless, and the consumer is not going to understand it.
Absolutely. And what will happen as well is that anything that we see in those first, the first 2 or 3 seconds of a message is what either we're going to retain it or we're going to pass by it, right? Even when I'm reading things, when I'm on social media and I'm looking at things, if it's very long, I immediately go, I don't have time for this. It could be like even just 15 seconds. 15 seconds is longer than I had. I only had those 2 seconds. So you lost my other, 13 seconds that I had. So making sure that one message, one clear, concise message that a 5-year-old could understand, and you're good. You're good with that. It's okay. Don't overcomplicate it.
So simplicity is important, making sure that you understand who your audience is, finding and identifying your unique selling point. We mentioned metrics earlier. I want to circle back to this before we end our time here and talk about the importance of paying attention to your metrics.
Yeah. So when we looked at what the unique things and what you should be doing, the biggest thing is that consistency, and that applies to metrics as well. So being consistent with your messaging, being simple, clear, and all of those things. Uh, m- how do you measure anything? So it's going to depend on what kind of business, but I think that all businesses need to be looking at metrics as applied with marketing and sales. So the sales department, like you said, has a very clear, we either sold it, we didn't, it's 5,000 or zero, right? But how did they get that? How did they get that sale? So marketing, if you have a marketing team or you have a marketing department, somebody had to have pushed something for the was it eyeballs, right? So it could be your advertising, it could be your social media presence, it could be your networking, it could be any of those things. But I think consistently measuring what you are doing to be able to get to that sales number.
We have so much access to so much information right now that there is such a thing as too many metrics,
Exactly.
right? And that find the metrics that are inspirational,
Mhm.
not just informative, right?
Absolutely. Is that gonna drive me to go, "I'm going to leave LinkedIn behind because we're not getting anything, but look at how many people we're getting on Facebook," you know? Or, "My network is much better in person." There are businesses that, obviously being in person, going to chamber meetings, going to all those business things, that's where you're going to get your leads. For us, trade shows, talking to our customers, right? So all of those things, find out where they're coming from and really, really focus on that. And if that's what's important, that's what you're going to measure.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Well, Vivian, we are coming up to the end of our time here. But before we go, because we are all about growth at the Growth Pro Edge and the Growth Pro Group. So tell us, what do you do to grow yourself, Vivian?
Oh my goodness. I am all about not only podcasts, but YouTube, reading, everything. I think just learning from so many different sources now, there are so many ways to learn. Before it was like I'm going to date myself, but the encyclopedia, right? Like we just had the Britannica and we would pull something out and read it. But now you can get those little micro learnings with everything. So I love watching how-to videos. I'm a very big avid, home projects and crafts and all of that stuff. So I think looking at it from that point of view, it's like learning everywhere. I love just being watching and learning.
Thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate you and your time and your thoughts here, and some really great foundations and starting points for companies to reset this year and reset their marketing message.
Clarify, consistent. That's I think what they need to be doing right now.
There it is. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Viv. Appreciate your time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Vivian, for your time today. And I hope that you enjoyed the conversation and it gave you some tools to change your mindset and sharpen your edge to accelerate your growth. If you enjoyed the show, please rate us on Apple or Spotify. It helps us reach more leaders like you. And of course, you can visit thegrowthpro.com for show notes, the full transcript, and a video version of today's episode. And if you're ready to grow your team or your business or yourself, you can schedule a free growth call with one of our coaches. Thanks again to our sponsors, Embed, Party Center Software, A&A Global, Betson, Simnox, Schaefer, and Roller. And until next time, I'm Denise Killian with the Growth Pro Group. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.